Welcome to the Well-Built Business Podcast. I'm Chelsea Fournier, systems strategist and founder of the Well-Built Business Method. Now, I'll be honest, operations isn't the flashiest part of entrepreneurship. It's not the thing people usually want to focus on, but it is what will keep you in your zone of genius and away from burnout. But if you are a service provider or expert-based business owner and you've hit a point where you realize structure, clarity, and clean systems are what actually unlock sustainable growth, you're in the right place. We talk about what it takes to build a business that supports your life, not one that constantly drains it. I'm really glad you're here. Let's dive in. So this episode is going to take a little bit of a different pace. In the past few episodes, we've really been talking about systems that support you specifically around marketing and visibility. But what we're going to really shift our mind from is from the systems and the workflows and delegation. Today, we're talking more upstream. Upstream really coming back to you as the founder, as the service provider, as the business owner. And upstream really to being more in flow. So I truly believe that there can be systems and really daily rituals of how you support yourself as the business owner, because before you can build those right systems, you have to get clear on what you're building and why. What is the vision? Where are you heading towards? What are you working towards? And most business owners skip this part because maybe it feels like a nice to have instead of a must have, but at some point you start to realize it's actually the opposite. So today is about slowing down, reconnecting to your internal compass, and finding clarity in business before making your next move. Now, this does not have to be the very first thing you do. There's no certain order of the pillars of the Well-Built Business Method, but I did want to bring this conversation up quickly and soon after talking about marketing and visibility, because marketing and visibility is what we all know we need to be doing. And this, I believe, goes hand in hand, because if you are not clear on where you want to be going, what you want your business to look like, what you can pour into your business, and what boundaries you need to hold, what your gut is saying, what your intuition is saying, then do you really need more visibility, right? I often see people pushing, oh, I just need more eyeballs on my work, and then things would be easier. I'd have more clients. But if the clarity isn't there, sometimes that greater visibility that maybe they are achieving really isn't landing or converting. And so today, we really want to just talk about what it looks like to be a business owner these days. The problem is that you're making dozens of decisions a day. Not only are you making perhaps decisions for your clients or decisions of how to support and show up for your clients, holding space, creating sacred space, or creating those sessions. And so you have all these decisions about how to actually deliver your work, right? That's your zone of genius. But you might also be navigating decisions about how to, like we talked about in recent episodes, how to delegate to your team, what software to be using, where you need to be stepping up as a leader. Maybe you're tweaking some of your offers or your pricing. Maybe you've got decisions about what, marketing, content. Where are you showing up for platforms? How often do you want to be showing up, right? So there's lots of decisions when we become business owners, especially as service providers. Many of us just want to be in the doing, right? In the service work. But there's all these different categories of topics of just running a business that have a lot of decisions. And over time, if we're not clear on how we make decisions, really flex the muscle of what it looks like to be empowered in how we make decisions, to be confident in how we make decisions, that can really lead to decision fatigue if you're kind of on the opposite end of that spectrum. And I truly believe, especially as more of a solopreneur or a small team that you are leading, decision fatigue and second guessing your decisions is the fastest track to burnout. So when you're in a state of having so many decisions to make, second guessing, not knowing if you feel confident, you start looking outward. We've all been there. There's no judgment in this. We've been in a phase where things just aren't clicking. We're second guessing our decisions. We start looking to what's working for her. What's trending? Maybe I'm missing how to get viral audios. Or what does that coach say? Or let me just invest in this course. Maybe it has the nugget of something I'm missing that I should be trying next, right? So we start looking external outside of us for an answer. Then often there will be a cycle where comparisonitis will kick in because you're saying what's working for her, or this coach is saying this is working for everyone, so there must be something wrong with me, right? And suddenly, if you're making decisions based on what you think could be working because it's working for other people, suddenly you're building someone else's version of a business instead of what truly feels authentic, aligned, and intuitively yours. Or maybe you default to just doing the next thing on your to-do list without ever asking if it's the right list, right? So this noise of being a business owner, having so many different categories of things that we need to be making decisions on and taking action on, and then just the flood of information that we can literally go on Instagram or TikTok or listen to podcasts, right? And you can be flooded by 5 different takes on what you should be doing over the course of 5 minutes, right? So the noise is so loud in the entrepreneurship space, and there's so much access to information, which can be beautiful in some ways and can be very flooding to our nervous systems and to our decision-making flow. So in this conversation, I want you to just ask yourself, what would it look like? What would it feel like to treat clarity like something that we're going to prioritize now? Not saying, oh, it would be nice to rent a cabin or rent a beach house and get away for a weekend, away from my day-to-day, away from my responsibilities. Wouldn't it be lovely to go do like a vision board or a visioning just like session for yourself? And that may or may not feel super accessible to you. But you might be saying, oh, after this next launch, or after I, onboard the virtual assistant I brought on, or after things calm down, that's an easy one to just put a pin in things, then I'll really slow down. Or even if it's not about physically going away, maybe saying I'll mark off 2 days on my calendar, not take sessions, but then how easy is it to fill that time up if something comes up, right? I want you to really shift your paradigm to really hear this, that clarity, carving out time, carving out experiences to reconnect with your clarity, the vision that you have for your business, the vision you have for how it feels to run your business, the impact you want to make, how you want to make that impact. It is not some kind of a reward that comes after the next season, right? Finding that clarity, reconnecting to it is the reason that you need to slow down. So it's not like, oh gosh, after this busy season, I will reward myself with this luxurious experience. I am encouraging you, how can you start to find pockets of time, small micro experiences, rituals even, to stay connected to that clarity and welcome it in throughout the whole process? Getting clear on what you actually want from your business, what you can realistically put into it, what your intuition is telling you. That's foundational work that will keep you far away from that path of decision fatigue, comparisonitis, burnout. So this is the business direction and clarity pillar of the well-built business method. And it's the one that honestly everything else is built on. You can't delegate effectively. You can't streamline your marketing. You can't fix your operations if you're not clear on where you're headed. Your internal compass, it is not woo-woo, right? This is data that your body and experience have been collecting that your busy mind hasn't had space to process. So I just want to talk a little bit about what clarity can actually look like in practice, because you might be someone who really does carve out time for clarity. You might be someone who this sounds like lovely, but you've never really gone down this road before. Either way, regardless of what your starting point is, I want you to really sink in and just explore in your body even, right? I'm asking in this episode for you to listen more to your body, to tune into your energy. And so even as you're just listening to this, do you get a ping? Do you get a little buzz of energy of like, wow, this feels like something I need more of? Getting clarity in my verbiage, really, it's about getting honest about you as a business owner, about you as a leader. It's getting honest about your capacity, not what you wish it was, but what it actually is right now. It's getting honest about how you best tune in and quiet your mind. And it's also getting honest about what feels comfortable for you. It's naming what's working and having the courage to let go of what's not, even if you invested time or money into it. It's distinguishing between I should do this, which is often very external, like when we're looking for those answers outside of us, and instead really dropping into this is aligned with where I'm going. That confidence, that grounded, that alignment. It's making decisions from that grounded place instead of a reactive or a fearful one. Many times, when people really need to have space held to go through a process of finding clarity, they are feeling in a space of fear or self doubt or chasing. I want to say like graspy, desperate energy. You could also feel like you're at a fork in the road and not quite sure which direction to take or even how to articulate what the options are. That's really common. This is all about knowing when to move quickly with a creative download versus when you actually need to allow space and time for something to land and integrate. Sometimes slowness is part of the process. And sometimes we receive, you've had this experience, I'm sure, when you've had an idea for an offer and it lands and it's clear and you take action and you get the landing page up and it sells, right? Like that energy can feel really exciting. And it can be just as exciting to allow space and time for something to fully develop and fully integrate. Having that discernment is a part of allowing, not only allowing, it's about inviting clarity in, saying, I will make space for you in my journey of being a business owner, and here's how, right? Like I call it inviting your intuition into the boardroom of your business. Now, I have seen, I'm going to call her a friend, a client. I have seen a woman by the name of Shelley. She has done multiple forms of work with me, of group energy readings, group strategy calls, one-on-one strategy and energy readings. I've also had the honor of supporting her in more of like a technology and a done for you, like website build. And so I've been on the back end and really been able to witness. And she has, gosh, I am just in deep honor and awe of how deeply connected to her intuition and her spirit team and her internal compass she is. I have witnessed her explore and deepen into her feminine side, her receiving mode as a business owner, shifting from that more logical, strategic brain, which comes more naturally to her. She has very deep intuitive connection, spiritual practices, rituals in her day, but seeing her bring that actually into her business and how she makes decisions and how she follows through, takes action, or pauses, right? I have really seen her follow her intuitive guidance even when it didn't make sense to her in the moment, logically, strategically. And here's what I've seen her launch a brand new business for her energy healing and land clearing services and pet clearing services, pet energy. I've seen her launch a website. I've seen her write and self-publish a book, become a vendor at local events to spread the impact of what she does. I've seen her develop out a referral-based client business. And she's done all of this and kept herself busy with being in service of clients on top of a very full-time job. And so what I have really witnessed is I have not seen her, at least she has not verbalized it to me, I have not seen her getting into comparisonitis. Oh gosh, so and so is doing TikTok, so I must be doing TikTok. I have not seen her investing in courses that are a squirrel moment or a sidetrack away from doing the work she's here to do. I have seen her stay the course. I have seen her be in moments of, is this even worth it? I have a full-time job. Like, is my business paying me in ways that make it worth it for the amount of time, money, and energy I'm putting into running it? I've seen her navigate those questions, but not from a reactive, not from a fearful, not from a desperate standpoint. And it's truly been an honor to see how she has welcomed her intuition into the boardroom of her business, into how she makes decisions and how she takes action and follows through, and how she sometimes takes breaks when that is the intuitive impulse. And so I share Shelley's story, and I'm always open to sharing my transparent story of bringing intuition into my business, because connecting with your intuition, maybe that's what you feel comfortable calling it. Maybe it's about connecting with your spirit team, universal guidance, your gut instinct, right? Maybe the more spiritual words don't resonate with you, but you can resonate with like gut. Whatever feels right to call it is not, it's not an issue for me, right? It is more about encouraging you, especially if you're a service-based business owner who is building a brand based on your gifts, experience, expertise, knowledge. This is how you differentiate yourself. Being connected to your internal compass of what you're building, why you're building it, why you're in service of people, what you want it to look like, what you want it to feel like, how you want your business to honor your current capacity, right? This is how you become differentiated from everybody else who's in your same field or has the same certifications or training. It's also how you build sustainability into your business, which is a big buzzword, especially if you're a solopreneur, have a very small team. The irony is that sometimes it's the slowing down that often speeds everything up because you stop pouring energy into the wrong things and start being much more discerning about what you say yes or no to. So I know that for some of you listening, intuition is already part of how you operate. You've always had a gut sense about your business. For others, this might feel newer or unfamiliar. Either way is completely fine. I hope that this is planting a seed for you to either reconnect to practices that you know help bring you closer to that alignment, or it's planting some seeds for you to be curious about what it looks like, what all of this would play out as in a daily practice or in working with someone to fine tune this connection. Now, intuition isn't necessarily about having psychic gifts. It's about being willing to get quiet enough to notice what you already know and what this noise of the entrepreneurship world could be drowning out. When you're in decision fatigue, you're cut off from that signal, and there's just honestly too much noise. I can't say it enough. Creating intentional space to listen, whether that's through journaling, walking, being in nature, conversation with a trusted advisor, or even something deeper, is how you start to reconnect. Maybe you have the time and ability to have that, weekend away in a cabin where you can really connect. And maybe you need to weave this more into your daily life. For some of you, this could feel pretty foreign. Maybe you don't feel confident in how you would develop a practice or rituals of tuning in. You might feel like you have the logical and strategic side of things down pat, but crave that connection, that alignment, more authenticity, but you're not able to put your finger on how to get there. Or you may be like Shelley and have deep spiritual and attunement practices, but crave someone to just hold space for you because you're always holding space for others so that you can be in that deeper exploration and receiving of the guidance. This is all leading to why I created my offer, the Business Soul Scan. It is a 60-minute intuitive energy reading specifically for business owners who want deeper connection to their intuition and to what the energetic imprint of their business is really wanting to unfold as. We are able to step out of the doing and step out of the strategic part of our brains and allow you as the business owner to be held through a really sacred experience of welcoming in that energetic guidance, receiving that clarity on a much deeper level than many people are able to create for themselves. Oftentimes, during this energy reading, we'll also receive guidance on how you can bring ritual of staying more connected to your intuitive practices day to day, even when it's busy. On the next episode, I'm actually going to be bringing on a recent Business Soul Scan client to share her experience, what she was feeling before, what came through during the session, and what shifted for her afterward. And I can't wait for you to hear that. If anything in today's episode resonated, if you're feeling that decision fatigue, if something just feels off and you can't quite put your finger on it or quite articulate it, or if you're at a crossroads and want clarity before your next move, the Business Soul Scan might be your next step. I only open 5 spots per month for this type of session. You don't need to come in with an agenda, just a willingness to receive and be held and really be open to what guidance will come through. If you're curious to learn more about what happens during the session or what to expect, there is a link in the show notes that would bring you over to learn more about this type of work that I do and also to book a session if you feel called. I would be honored to hold space for you to develop and lean more into this side of yourself so that you can really stay far away from burnout, to get out of any decision fatigue or spirally energy that you could be in, because your energy is best spent being in service of others, but also in service of yourself and how you want it to feel running your business. If this episode supported you in some way, opened your mind, got you brainstorming, I would genuinely appreciate if you left a review. It helps more founders who are ready for this level of work actually find the show. And if someone specific came to mind while you were listening, send it to them. The best businesses are built in rooms where people share what's actually working with each other. If you do share this episode onto social media, I'd love to see your takeaway, so make sure to tag me, Well Built Business, on most accounts so I can connect with you and reshare it. The Well Built Business podcast isn't about doing more, it's about building better. And I'm really glad you're here. I'll see you next week.